Let's talk about grief behind this video that I did last time. So here's something that I have learned because I am grieving my mom. I lost my mom 4 months ago and I am still grieving. Every day feels like it's a new fresh wound. I wouldn't say by any chance it's bearable because I saw people writing in the comment section that it gets better with time. I don't think it gets better. I also don't think it gets bearable. I think what happens is your mind has to compartmentalize that you've lost someone very close. And each time you remember, I cry. And I cry a lot. And also, there's no day that goes without you thinking about them. Like, I can't go a day without thinking about my mom. I think the first few things that happened when I heard about my mom's passing is anger set in so quickly. I was so angry at everyone and everything. I was so angry at the situation. I was just angry. And then the other thing I felt so much was I felt like, what else could I have done? Like, I kept thinking, is there anything that I could have done differently that would have helped her, that would have saved her, that would have kept her here? There are so many things that went through my mind, and I went through the whole 360-degree angle of what could I have done differently. I even thought, could I have prayed differently? Was it my prayers? Were they not enough? And then your faith gets shaken. And for me, I've always been like this. Even if my faith is shaken, I still go to the Lord and tell him, you know what, God, I am struggling a lot. And I'm struggling with why I really did struggle, and still I'm struggling with why my mom had to pass away, because I had never imagined a life without her. There's so many things I wanted to do with her. There's so many things I wanted to do for her. It just felt like so many things were cut short. Then with grieving, it makes you feel like life is so precious, and also it's very fragile in the sense that today you have somebody and then the next day you don't. Up to now, I'm kind of afraid of I would say I'm very fearful of creating bonds with people, because in my mind I feel like if I create a bond with you and then one day I lose you, I don't know if I can bear that. It's literally that crazy sometimes, and I'm praying about that so that God can help me deal with that, because it's very hard to look at someone and say, one day I'm gonna lose you, or just think that way. Because for me, my mom is the closest that I have been to experiencing someone super close dying, and it cut me to the core, and I didn't know what to do with those emotions. I still don't know what to do with those emotions. The only way I'm literally handling this is having conversations with God, and that's the only way around it for me. I don't know how else other people do it. My husband was talking about me going to therapy, and honestly, I don't know if that's going to help me, because I feel like I'm just going to sit there and talk, and then is it going to make my heart feel better? Am I going to feel great? Am I going to feel okay? I'm always going to miss my mom. I'm always going to think about my mom. I'm always going to remember my mom. There's nothing that I feel like in this moment that even if I spoke to somebody, I don't know if it's going to help me. Honestly, maybe somebody tell me, did you go to therapy? Did it help? Because I don't know. I think somebody dear is just somebody dear, whether you like it or not. And most days it doesn't still feel real. Like I feel like I woke up and I feel like, it just doesn't feel real. I think the hardest days for me are the days where I have to speak to my dad on the phone, because I remember every day me and my mom would talk on the phone for hours and hours and hours, and then she would give my dad the phone, like, here, say hi to your daughter. And so now it's either he calls or I call. Not that we were not in conversation, it's just that's kind of how it used to be, because I was constantly on the phone with my mom. So my mom would just pass over the phone to him, and then we would have conversations, and then so now when I do speak to him, it really breaks my heart. After those phone calls, I cry a lot, because mom isn't passing the phone to him anymore. There's so many things that I feel like I have regrets on, and then there's so many things that I feel like maybe I could have done differently. If there's one thing that I have learned, is how sometimes it feels very tangible. It's like you feel like it's an open wound, like an actual open wound in your heart that you cannot fix. And also you feel like you're drowning in grief, like it's just something you cannot easily explain to someone unless they go through it. Every day that I am grieving, I always say, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, not even my enemy. I would not wish that on anyone. It is so hard to grieve. And also to grieve when you are mothering is also very difficult. some days I will be crying and the baby will be looking at me like, why are you crying? Like, what is that? Like, what's happening? And I don't know, in those moments I can't be strong because I am literally grieving my mom, but she doesn't understand that. So sometimes I tell her that mommy's crying about her mommy. Mommy's just missing her mommy. That's why she's crying. Yeah, the pain is very tangible. It's very vivid. And every day it doesn't, I thought when I was reading the comment section and everybody was saying, it becomes bearable and all of those things. And I was hoping that it actually does become bearable. And I'm realizing it doesn't become bearable. You just have to live with it and you have to carry it however it is that you're going to carry it. And so for me, the only way I'm carrying it is when I'm having conversations with God and I'm telling him, you know what, Lord, I am really missing my mom. I am really having a hard time with how she passed away, why she passed away, when she passed away. I am having a hard time with all those things and I don't know what to do. So I have to talk to him about it. That is such a very difficult thing to do, also to just, if there's one person you can be vulnerable around is the Lord, right? But sometimes I feel like I can't even put words in place to explain to him that this is what I feel. But then I remember that he's the one who sent his son to die on the cross for me. So he knows what death looks like. He knows what grief looks like. He knows what it means to lose somebody close to you, what it feels like to grieve somebody when he was grieving the death of Lazarus. He knows grief and he knows how to handle and deal with grief. And I feel like that's where I want to get my view on grief. And also I've been reading different ways of grieving that the Bible has put in together. Basically, the Bible has the blueprint of how we should live life or how, stuff like that. And also in the Bible, the Lord talks about people grieving somebody. And then there's parts where the Lord talks about people not being grieved. Like he will make it such that nobody will grieve that person. And I think to me, it speaks volumes because God is saying that grieving is important and grieving somebody you loved is important. But how you do it is also very important, I think. To him, I think it is important how you grieve, how you handle all of that. You know what? This is the one thing in my life that I have felt very helpless. No, not helpless. I have felt very out of control. It's not in my control. There's nothing that is in my control. My only joy in this is my mom died a believer, and I believe that she's with the Lord and that she's in such a much, much better place. And it is much better to be in the presence of God anyway. The Bible says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So if you're watching this and you're also going through grief, I think that's the best encouragement I can give you, is that even if they are absent from this life, they're present with the Lord. And it is so much better to be present with him than to be here on earth and not have him, So maybe that's the best way we can take it, because that's the only way I can take it. I mean, I loved my mom, but I think even if I loved her, God loved her more than I did. That's not a new thing. It's always going to be a fact that the Lord loves us more than we love our children, than we love our parents. His love is so much greater, and that's how I am taking it. I think this is just an update of some days I wake up and those days feel like good days and it feels like I'm going to have a nice day. And then one part of that day, I remember that I don't have my mom anymore. I don't have the person who used to give me advice anymore. I can't hear her smile anymore. We can't speak anymore. And I think having a great support system is very important. Grief is very tricky in the sense that one day you think that you are okay and then the next day you are crumbling in pieces. That's what I have learned. And also check on your friends who have lost somebody in their lives. It's very hard because it's not easy to ask for help. Like, hey, I'm struggling. Thankfully, I've had very great people around me who have been checking up on me. I've also had people who just don't know how to help me. Like they just don't know what to do or what to say, and that's also okay. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have the right words you don't have to have the right words all the time. It's just being there is more important than having the right words, That's what I would say. Again, if you're going through grief isn't new. new. People dying, unfortunately, isn't new. Even you yourself who's listening to this video, one day you're going to die. I am also going to die someday. Do you know the interesting part about grief that I have learned is that there was one time I was sitting and I was thinking, how did my mom grieve her mom? How did she handle it? In that moment, I was crumbling into pieces and I was like, how did she do it? There is no easy way of grieving. One day we're all going to die. 100 years from now, most of us are not going to be here. The best thing we can do is pray that God gives us long lives, and that God sustains us, and that He heals our hearts from the wounds and the broken heart. Because death leaves a lot of brokenness. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's the video. I don't know what else to say. I think the last thing I will say is that if you've lost someone very close to you, you need to grieve. You need to cry. Cry as much as you need to cry. For me, what I chose to do, I got a candle, and that candle, I was burning it. I still am burning it every single day, or most days when I miss my mom, which is every day. With the candle, once it burns out, it will just be now I will be holding on to memories and not grieving anymore. I don't know if it's going to work or not. That's just what I decided. Meanwhile, I am still praying that God helps me through the grieving process. I'm praying for you too, that whoever is listening to this, if you're going through fresh grief and you're still wondering, and you're going through all these emotions of anger, frustration, and wondering and questions, just know there's going to be a lot of that. The other thing is, even if you were prepared for somebody's passing, because there's people who are prepared, they know that it's coming. And even if you are prepared and you still feel there's a huge loss, there's a huge wound, grieve. That's what you need to do. You need to cry when you need to cry. You need to speak to the Lord and tell him everything. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell notification button so that you're notified every time there's a new video. And until next time, I hope you'll be okay. Bye. Also, comment down below if you've gone through grief. Comment down below, because there's other people who are going through grief who need help. So the comment section is where you'll find the most help, because you're going to find people who have gone through it. Because when I was I think the first time I had announced that my mom had passed away, I read so many comments about how other people's parents, sisters, brothers, had passed away, and I don't know what it does, but there's some sort of encouragement to see, okay, somebody you loved passed away and you're still holding on and you're still going on and you're still moving, because every day requires strength for you to get up and do stuff, especially when it's fresh. 15 minutes become 20 minutes, 20 minutes become an hour becomes the next day. And that's just the best way you can handle days. So, yeah. It is hard. It's not going to be easy. And I'm still going through it. And I am just praying that we all heal. All right, guys. I will see you on the next video. Bye.